Disclaimer! We are not encouraging you to burn flags. This is completely informative and not persuasive. This video is also super cool, and if you disagree, then leave. Be a stupid, nerdy McNerdface geek.
We will now return to the scheduled program.
Breaking news, Gregory Lee Joey Johnson, a 28-year-old man, was captured burning the American flag in Dallas, Texas, in front of the Republican National Convention. He shall be tried under the Texas desecration law. His case will be sent to the Supreme Court if he is found guilty.
Background! Yes, this did happen. Prior to Gregory Johnson's case, there were cases such as O'Brien v. U.S., Cohen v. California, and Tinker v. Des Moines. These cases helped set the precedent that would later be used to determine the outcome of Texas v. Johnson. Now, what exactly did happen in Texas v. Johnson? Well, Gregory Johnson did burn the American flag in an act of peaceful protest outside the Republican National Convention in 1989. Texas law said his action was the desecration of a venerated object. He was found guilty in the Texas District Court, but he brought his case to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that his actions were protected under the First Amendment. He was sentenced to 1 year in jail and was given a $2,000 fine. But why is this important? Here's our thesis. In 1989, the Supreme Court's decision in Texas v. Johnson significantly altered the status of the First Amendment, freedom of speech, and ultimately redefining the rights of Americans today. Facts of the case!
When was it?
June 21st.
1989. Where was it? Dallas, Texas, National Republican Convention. Part of the Constitution, First Amendment. What was it? A 5-4 majority ruling in the Supreme Court. Many First Amendment Supreme Court cases happened during the Reagan administration. Now, what does that say about Ronald Reagan? Is it good? Is it bad? The world will never know.
An important quote by Justice William Brennan of the majority ruling is, "If there is a bedrock principle underlying the First Amendment, it is that the government may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society finds the idea itself offensive or disagreeable."
Arguments made! Now, what was the argument? It was an expression of free speech, and arresting him was not constitutional. Or it was unconstitutional because it was treasonous. Ooh, mic drop.
Opinions!
Now, what did they use to form their conclusions? The First Amendment, and what he did was expressive conduct.
More specifically, the First Amendment states, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." According to the First Amendment, Johnson's actions in burning the American flag fall under the people's ability to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Johnson did not agree with his government, so he peacefully, not harming anyone else, addressed his concerns. Precedents!
Now, the precedents. O'Brien v. U.S.
O'Brien v. U.S. was a case where O'Brien burnt his draft card in an act of protest. The Supreme Court ruled 7-1 in his favor, saying that his action was constitutional under the First Amendment.
Cohen v. California.
Cohen v. California is when Mr. Cohen walked into a California court with written on the back of his jacket. The court arrested him and he later took his case to the Supreme Court, who ruled 5-4 in his favor, stating that California's law was unconstitutional and he had every right to have that on his jacket. An important quote from this case is "One man's vulgarity is another's lyric," which is said by one of the Supreme Court justices during his case.
And Tinker v. Des Moines.
Tinker v. Des Moines is a case where 2 to 4 high school students wore black armbands in protest of the Vietnam War to school and were told that it was a disruption to class. The Supreme Court did rule in their favor, saying that their actions were supported under the First Amendment.
Constitutional interpretations.
Now, the constitutional interpretation. First Amendment protects all speech and protest, as long as no one is physically harmed. And it doesn't matter if people are offended. Mic drop.
Historical significance!
So, what's the historical significance of this? Well, I'm glad you asked. This case set a precedent that said free speech is not limited to speech and writing, but also actions such as protest. Anything can offend anyone. Doesn't mean it's not legal.
Conclusion! I love free speech!
Well, you heard it here, folks. You can burn the American flag. Although I'm not telling you to do that. Gregory Lee Johnson's act of protest created a new interpretation of the United States Constitution.